Our concepts of a higher power and God, as we understand them, afford everyone a nearly unlimited choice of spiritual belief, written by Bill Bill W. in the Grapevine, April 1961. Okay, over to Jeff. I'll let you get started reading.
Jeff, alcoholic, South Florida. We turn the page where it starts saying, my friend. I have recently made a friend of someone I wish everyone could know. This friend is never too busy to listen to me, my problems, my joys, and my sorrows. He gives me the courage to face life squarely and helps me conquer my fears. The counsel I get is always good, for this friend is very wise, patient, and tolerant. Sometimes I do not heed his advice, and then I must ask for and be willing to accept additional advice very humbly and sincerely. Regardless of the mistakes I make, my friend is always there, available to me at any time, day or night. I can talk, and he does not interrupt, no matter how I ramble on. Sometimes, while talking to him, I receive a solution to my problem. Other times, just by putting my problem into words, I see how petty and unimportant it is. I feel as if my friend, I feel, I feel as if my friend is holding my hand and gently guiding me if I will listen. I feel that when I do not listen, my friend is hurt but never angry. My friend is with me at work or at home, my constant companion wherever I go. He is my higher power as I understand it. He is the God I know. Colorado Springs, Colorado. An atheist's journey. 4 members of an AA group were called by a hospital as a last resort, a token gesture, to see a man who was already in nearly hopeless mental and physical state. He was due to be committed to a state institution as an incurable alcoholic, and almost certainly that would be his final home. AA, well, he had decided nothing could be worse than what he was facing. So he agreed to listen on one condition. He didn't want any of that God stuff. He was a professed atheist, and on that point, he was clear. He had no intention of changing, no matter what the consequences. Thank you for letting me read.
I'll keep going, Jeff.
Okay, page 80, came to believe. The 4 men talked. He listened, and when they had finished, he was interested. There was still the big drawback, however, God. If that idea was part of the program, AA was not for him. The 4 men thought, and then suddenly one of them spoke. Quietly at first, unsure of how his new approach would be received. He pointed out the plight of the patient, his helplessness, his illness. As he talked, he became more certain he was taking the right path. He pointed out that he and the other 3 were sober and had managed to stay that way. They were working. They were happy. Surely this made them stronger than the patient. The patient couldn't argue that point. Well then, couldn't they be considered a higher power of a sort who possibly could help restore him to sanity? He thought about this, and somewhere deep in the shadowy, confused recesses of his mind, there flashed a faint hope. Yes, he told them, they could represent his higher power. He could turn his life over to their care. The 4 men looked at one another. At least it was a place to start, but it wouldn't be easy. It was indeed a long, slow process, but gradually the cobwebs began to clear. As the patient read more and more about AA, he eagerly looked forward to the visits from his first 4 friends and from the other members of the group who were now coming in to see him too. His body took much longer to heal than his mind, so it was a red letter day when he was finally able to dress and say goodbye to the hospital and to all the doctors and nurses who had helped him restore his physical health. As he dressed, he kept thinking how different this was from the departure he almost made to the state institution. His trust, his belief in the 4 men, had made it possible. But could he stay sober outside these doors? Well, he'd do it today anyhow. He threw himself into AA work with all the energy he could muster, attending several meetings a week. His body still tired quickly, but he was never too tired to answer a 12-step call. The memory of his first visit from AA and what it had meant to him would always be clear. One day a call came for him to see someone who needed help. When he arrived, he discovered that fate had indeed dealt him a strange hand. The alcoholic he was visiting was a priest. He played that hand carefully and wisely, for it's a challenge unlike he had ever faced or had any imagined facing. He who had shunned this man's God must now find exactly the right words for communication. He fumbled for a start, and then suddenly it became easy to talk to this priest, this fellow alcoholic. A warm friendship developed between the two, and so it was a special joy when he became the priest's sponsor. They learned much from each other, or perhaps in each case, the knowledge had been there all along, just waiting for the right person to bring it to the surface. In his remaining years, the man was called upon many times to help someone find a way to sobriety. Of these calls, two took him to the side of other men of the cloth who needed help. In these cases, ministers. Twice more, he was privileged to sponsor men of God, by now his God as well. He left this world after 7 years of uninterrupted sobriety, a man at peace with himself and his higher power. His legacy is the same as that left by AAs everywhere, the world over, more valuable than any earthly riches. It is a living legacy embodied in the men and women he has helped and in the alcoholics to whom they in turn have extended a hand. And that's from Sioux City, Iowa. Thank you for letting me read.
Amazing story. Okay, over to you, Ron.
I'm Ron. I'm an alcoholic. The only reality. I'm so tired of wandering around in my dreams, yet I keeps driving me back to them. For me, the only way out of it is through God. He is the only reality there is, and everything else must start from Him. And that's the AA Internationalist. Reason or conscience. When I first heard the advice, listen to God, I looked around to see who was present. People who listened to voices were, I supposed, kept in some place at the expense of the state. Since I was already in one of those places, I figured that if I tried listening and someone in authority was watching me, I would not have a snowball's hope in the other place of ever getting out. Then one day I tried listening to God. I found that He had been talking to me for some time about those checks I had cashed, knowing that they would bounce, about those rotten lies I told, about some relationships I would not have wanted made into a movie, about the selfishness of my ways and the grievous hurt I had inflicted on my friends and relatives. That's right, God talked to me through my conscience. Of course, when I was knocking off the hooch in a manner calculated to create an accurate shortage of the stuff, a higher power just did not exist for me. The only conscience was a very thin time. When I came to believe, my conscience reasserted itself, and now, egged on by my conscience, I am endeavoring to make amends for all my wrongdoings in the past, as step 9 suggests. Reason, or common sense if you prefer, is another method of finding out the will of God, but I prefer to rely on my conscience. During my drinking days, my reason told me that I was jeopardizing my health, my job, my bank balance, and a host of other things. Where did this ordinary human reasoning get me? It got me two more slips of paper, one from my boss, saying that he thought he could manage without my services, and the other from the bank manager, reminding me that, although he had lots of money, he thought that I had more than my fair share of it. My reason brought me to a mental and physical breakdown, which led to me that spell in an institution. Human wisdom had failed. I needed a wisdom greater, far greater than my own. This I found when I found a higher power in my conscience. All I have to do now is assemble all the facts as I see them and let Him mold them to a conclusion. The conclusion at which I arrived that God's power is shown through results. How many times we have followed a course of action on faith alone and then told ourselves, when results verified the rightness of our action, that we must be psychic. Psychic nonsense. Have you ever been of two or more minds when trying to arrive at a decision and then suddenly found something quite circumstantial popping up to show you the way? I have, and to me, this is just one more item to be added to the long list of God's accomplishments for me. Guidance. I do not have to be guided to shave each morning, nor to have a bath, however occasionally. Nor can I rely on supernatural intervention to help me slosh a golf ball the way it ought to be sloshed. But I have been guided to know that I must make amends for the grief and worry I visited on my loved ones from during the dark days, when, in all humility, I try to pass our message on to other less fortunate alcoholics. I know that the plan of a higher power comes to us through the medium of people. To us alcoholics, this does not mean common or garden people, but special people, such as other alcoholics. And I am guided to include among the people from whom I might receive guidance and to whom I must demonstrate the life of my conscience or higher power, those who married me, loved me, befriended me, and stuck by me as others stuck by other alcoholics. It matters not whether reason nor conscience showed me the way. I came to believe in a power greater than myself, and that has been my salvation. And that's from Bulawayo, Rhodesia.
Thank
Bulawayo.
you.
Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, over to Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca Alcoholic. Top of 83, inner voice. Long before nagging and pressures from others concerning my excessive use of alcohol made any impression on me, the nagging voice of conscience, my inner voice of truth and right, apprised me of the irrevocable fact that I had lost control of alcohol, that I was powerless. I know now that the inner voice was God, as I understand him, speaking. Or, as I had been taught from earliest memory, and as A has emphasized, God or good emanates from within each of us. Lakewood, Ohio. Faith in people. My parents gave me a faith that in later years I lost. No, it was not a religious faith, though I was exposed to the teaching of two sects. Neither was forced upon me. I simply drifted away through boredom, and my fragile, superficial belief in God vanished as soon as I tried thinking about it. It was a faith in people that my parents gave me, both by loving me and by respecting me as an individual, entitled to make my own choices. This love I accepted and returned unquestionably as a fact of nature. Out in the world on my own, I still had a feeling of being under benevolent protection. My immediate bosses of both sexes seemed to regard me as kindly as school teachers had. Oddly, my good fortune sometimes annoyed me. What is this? I asked myself. Do I arouse the maternal impulse? For this was inside me an element at war with my faith in people. It was a furious, stiff-necked pride, an urge for total independence. With my contemporaries, I always painfully shy, and even then I interpreted this handicap correctly as a symptom of egotism, a fear that others would not agree with my own high valuation of myself. That valuation certainly did not include a picture of myself as a drunk. Often I suspect that pride kills as many alcoholics as liquor does. I could very easily have been one of the victims, because my reaction to the fast progression alcoholism was chiefly a frantic effort to hide it. Ask for help? What an idea. The day came when my pride was squashed flat, temporarily, and I did call for help. I called on people, strangers, but my pride expanding as health returned, blocked my first two approaches to AA.
Yeah.
During this interlude, non-alcoholics friends helped me too, unasked. After one more failure to regain my skill as a social drinker, I was convinced and I began my AA membership in earnest. Fortunately, I joined a group that devotes its closed meetings to step discussions. Most of the members had their own concept of a personal God. The atmosphere of faith surrounding me was so marked that I thought at times I was on the point of joining in it. I never did, and yet I found the steps revealing new depths of meaning with each discussion. In step 2, the power greater than ourselves meant AA, but not just the members I knew. It meant all of us, everywhere, sharing a concern for each other and thereby creating a spiritual resource stronger than any one of us could provide. Another woman in my group believed that the souls of dead alcoholics, including those of times before AA, contributed to this fountainhead of goodwill. The thought was so beautiful that I wish I could believe it too. At first, step 3 was simply the way I felt on no hangover mornings of early sobriety, sitting by my window on days that always seemed sunny, having no immediate prospect of employment, and feeling perfectly happy and confident anyhow. Then the step became a cheerful acceptance of my place in the world. I have no idea who or what is running the show, but I know I'm not. And I could also see step 3 as a good attitude, an effective approach to life. If I am swimming in salt water and I panic and start thrashing around and fighting it, it will drown me. But if I relax and have faith in it, it will hold me afloat. Though step 4 does not mention a higher power, to me the word moral carried an implication of sin, which in my book translates as an offense against God. So I regarded the inventory instead as an attempt at an honest description of my character. On the red side went qualities that tended to hurt people. By trying to live in the world rather than escape it, by trying to open myself up to other people rather than withdraw from them, I hoped that this contact with my fellow human beings would somehow rub off the sharp, hurtful corners of my personality. Step 6 and 7. I'm not sure that I was consciously working the steps, but they were surely working on me. In about the 4th year of sobriety, a trivial incident suddenly made me realize that my old bugaboo of shyness had disappeared. I felt at home in the world, I had said to myself in astonishment. Now, some 10 years later, I still do. In the whole measure of my life, the benefits of the AA experience have far outweighed the damages of active alcoholism. What was it that overcame my pride? For the moment, it made me reachable. The best answer I could find is what my father used to call the life force. He was an old-fashioned family doctor, and he had seen that force springing up or failing many times. It is in all of us, I believe. It animates all living things. It keeps the galaxies wheeling. The saltwater metaphor applied to step 3 and was not chosen by accident, for to me the ocean is a symbol of this force. I come closest to step 11 when I can contemplate an unbroken horizon from the deck of a ship. I am cut down to size. I feel serenely that I am a small part of something vast and unknowable. But isn't the ocean rather a cold symbol? Yes. Do I think that its eye is on the minnow, that it is concerned about any individual's fate? Would I talk to it? No. Once, near the end of my drinking, I did address 3 words to something non-human. In the darkness before morning, I got out of bed, knelt, folded my hands, and said, "Please help me." Then I shrugged and said, "Who am I talking to?" and got back into bed. When I related that incident to one of my sponsors, she said, "But he did answer your prayer." That may be, but I do not feel it. I didn't argue with her, nor did I attack the mystery with pure logic now. If you could prove to me logically that there is a personal God, and I don't think you can, I still would not be inclined to talk to a presence I couldn't feel. If I could prove to you logically that there is no God, and I know I can't, your true faith would not be shaken. In other words, matters of faith lie entirely outside the realm of reason. Is there something beyond the realm of human reason? Yes, I believe there is something. In the meantime, here we all are together. I mean, all of us people, not just alcoholics. We need each other. New York, New York.
Excellent. Thank you. Hey, Amy, you want to read? Okay, go ahead. Read a couple pages.
Okay. Conversation. I believe that the AA program is simply the will of God being put to practical, everyday use. And I think that the spiritual awakening is the realization that God will help the individual if the individual is completely honest in his efforts. If God were to enter my prison cell for a brief talk, our conversation might be as follows. God, I've had my eye on you for a long time, and I'm glad that you are finally trying to help yourself. Myself. I'm trying hard, but truthfully, I'm scared. God, you keep trying and listen to the people that I have working for me in AA and heed their advice. I have to leave now, for I have a busy itinerary. But if you need me, I will always be near. Wapoon, Wisconsin. God is good. Before AA, I could not or would not admit I was wrong. My pride would not let me. And yet I was ashamed of me. Caught in this conflict, I banished God from my life because I felt He asked me to adhere to a behavior pattern too high for a man of my human frailty. Somehow, I believed that there could be no forgiveness for any failure, that God required me to be all good. The moral of the story of the prodigal son eluded me. Since I thought trying was not enough, I stopped trying. That made me feel guilty. For a while, alcohol blotted out the guilt. Then alcohol became the greatest cause of my guilt. I had to be beaten to a pulp physically, mentally, and emotionally, become bankrupt in all facets of my being before I could give up my pride and admit defeat. Unfortunately, admitting was not sufficient. My situation got worse until I had to surrender completely. From the depths of my hell, I called out, "Oh God, help." And He led me to a place where I could find a way out of the maze, and He sent me a group of people to lead the way. I know that now, but at the time I rejected God and claimed I did not believe in prayer. It took some time for my guides to get me to talk to God through prayer. Before then, I used the fellowship of AA and the people as in it as my higher power. They were real, compassionate, and understanding, and they made me feel welcome. But my distorted sense of justice told me there was no reason for God to forgive me, so I still felt ashamed and guilty when His name was mentioned. When I gave up completely and accepted the nature of my disease, as well as the full meaning of the first step, I had to have something bigger to tie to. The fellowship as a higher power just was not enough. I still use AA as a reminder that God exists, but I do not use it in its place of God. So, out of need, I came to believe. To go along with this deep seated belief in God, I have developed an enormous faith in God. He is good. My understanding is that everything He sends my way is for my benefit. But the growth of this understanding has taken time, as well as relinquishing my resistance to change. I need the trials and tribulations I have had so that I could surrender and give up self. Only in complete acceptance of the utter defeat of my pride and ego, I could begin to win. I am against goals which can be attained. People do not get married and live happily ever after. I could not dry out and live in utopia. Each day, God gives us a new challenge. Sometimes it's prosperity, sometimes adversity. Prosperity can lead to complacency, adversity to self pity. Either one of these reactions is a luxury I cannot afford. I do not always fully accept my adversities as good while I am going through them, but the mere fact that I am now able to write these words proves that the logic in my faith that God is good. It is strictly my opinion, based on my experience, that one becomes richer in spirit and one grows in spirit. The more I accept God, the more He gives me. As I become more appreciative of the benefits received, I try harder to show my appreciation, my capacity to be content with life, as it has greatly increased. Therefore, as time goes on, I become more able to be at peace with my fellow man, with God, and within myself. Deming, New Mexico.
Okay, who's next for reading? Uh, hey, Deirdre, you want to read?
No, I don't have the book, Jen.
We put it up incidentally in chat. You
Okay.
guys could see it there. Kale, you want to read? It's in chat.
Yeah, I can read.
Go ahead.
All
It's the
right.
whole company on page 87. Okay, go ahead. Read a couple pages. Yep.
Okay. I was born in Anglican Church of England, and the following crops up in one of our services, perhaps in the services of other denominations also. Therefore, with angels and archangels and the whole company of heaven, we laud and glorify thy name. Since I have no knowledge of heaven or the company kept there, whenever I repeat this passage of praise, I substitute the words and the whole company of Alcoholics Anonymous. Being an AA loner, I have felt very out of things and on my own. But I do believe in the power of collective thought, whether for good or evil. Thus, I believe that the collective thought of the body of Alcoholics Anonymous throughout the world must have some effect on alcoholics, whether they are aware of it or not. Kenton on Sea, South Africa. Guiding presence. In my early boyhood, reciting, "Now I lay down to sleep," and learning to sing, "Jesus Loves Me," were part of my everyday life. Attending Sunday school and the church became an accepted one-day-a-week activity. How much these things affected my life as a small boy, I really don't know. But at any time when I experienced fear or trouble, I always turned to a live adult for comfort and reassurance. No doubt, some of these childhood teachings remained with me through the years, even after I came to depend on the bottle instead, for comfort in time of trouble and for an answer to my problems. But with increasing dependence on the bottle and the anguish, heartache, and loneliness that went with it, there seemed to be a sharp and total decline in all spiritual beliefs and feelings. I became a human paradox. In desperation, I would cry to God to help me out of this terrible mess. In the next breath, I would damn him for not helping me. On occasion, I would expound at great length to others that I was an atheist and I did not believe there was a God. If there was, how could he let one of his own creation suffer so much and live in the hell that I was living in? Each day became so painful that that at last I turned as a small, terrified child to a living, sober, sane adult for comfort and help. He took me to a place where I had vowed I would never go, a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. When the meeting was opened with a moment of silence, I wondered why, but I was impressed. At the close of the meeting, I was shocked when they stood and began to repeat the Lord's Prayer. I tried to join them, though I had long ago forgotten the words, and again I was impressed. In spite of having been thoroughly inebriated a few hours earlier, I returned home feeling good. I seemed to understand that here at last was the hope. Here at last was the hope and help I had been searching for. I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep that night while trying to recall the words of the Lord's Prayer. That first day and for some weeks following, I had the comforting feelings of never being alone. During every minute of every day, this good, strong, guiding presence seemed to be always with me. I couldn't see it, yet it was there. Never once did I tell anyone of this experience I was having, for I was convinced they would say that it was but a figment of my imagination and that if I would just bear with it, my sanity would return in time. I wasn't so sure myself that there might not be something wrong with my mind. Even so, I was delighted with what was happening to me, and I wanted it to continue. If this was a sign of insanity, I thought, let me remain forever in its grasp. One day, I suddenly realized that this great invisible something or someone was no longer by my side. I felt momentarily lonely, until I reasoned that this someone was greater than myself. And someone greater than myself had decided it was now time for me to face the new realities of a new life. But should I need some help along the way, I felt that he would always be close by, as a small child who crosses the street alone for the first time knows that his mother is watching from the window. When, through these personal experiences, I came to believe that the divine architect had laid out a master plan that included me, in my own small way, I found that I had a certain degree of sustaining hope to cope with everyday living in a sane and confident manner. Grand Island, Nebraska.
Yeah, I'll read the last one. A higher power, a living part of AA. God is a living part of AA. I feel his presence each time I look into the concerned eyes around me. His greatest commandment is love thy neighbor as thyself. This seems to me to be the entire purpose of AA from Marysville, Ohio. So that's the end of this chapter while we are making our way through this book. So we're going to go around the room and I'll ask everybody what you got out of this reading, what stood out for you. You can quote a page or a line if you want to. So just go back through through this chapter and what stands out. A couple things. The one thing that really stood out for me is that these people had made contact with God. They were seeing him as a friend, which we often refer to here. They were talking about their deep personal relationship, that God was actually a person or a friend that communicated with them and helped them. But they weren't, to me anyways, they weren't having an intellectual conversation about God. They were like right in it, me and God and how God helped me. And, which always reminds me that, in order to have a relationship with God, you have to communicate with him. And that God is not a concept. God is a living, breathing person. The all one, the creator. And I just in reading this, it's like everybody in this chapter had this sort of deep personal relationship with him and talked about him as though he were real. And you don't always get that. We get that here, and such a great read anyway. So that's what I got out of it. Over to you, Catherine. What did you get?
It strikes me the way that people can come to it in their own way. We come into AA, it's in the big book. A lot of people come into AA as atheists or agnostics, and they just find it hard to accept God. But these stories show how you don't have to have a God, someone else's God when you come to the program. You can develop your own relationship with your own God, and you don't have to have that when you first come in. You just have to have something to believe in, as believing in the group because you see that it works in others and believe that it can work for you.
Okay, good. Jeff, over to you.
Jeff, alcoholic, South Florida. I go back to something that I heard from someone who was very much into the steps when I first came in. You can deny the existence of higher power or God or power greater than yourself, but that power is there. As far as your life, it has been unmanageable. Can you call upon him? You better, because remember, when it comes to running your life and living on this earth, you can't, he can, let him. And that stuck with me. I can without help. I can without help, have my life managed, but I can't, he can, let him. Thank you. And he's there, call on him. So thank you for letting me share that.
Fear and reason of conscience. He says, this really hit me. One day I did try listening to God and found that he had been talking to me for some time.
Mhm.
And all those checks I had cashed. So anyway, so he reaching to God again, and God starts to respond. And that's kind of what happened to me. Over to you, Amy.
I really liked on page 85 how the lady said she woke up in the middle of the night and she wasn't spiritual, but she knelt down and said, please help me. And then the next day she told her sponsor about it. And the sponsor said, well, he did. He answered your prayers. So it just kind of reminded me that God is there and he's helping you. And it might not be in the way that you kind of envision, but in a completely different way. So you really have to just open your eyes to what he is doing in your life. And again, it's not like the way that you might have envisioned it, but he's there and he's doing something.
Yeah, most of us are not talking to God when we get here. So this whole chapter is kind of a mandate. They're imploring you to talk to God and he will talk back. And that's what I had to do. I had to get over the idea that this was silly, goofy. Father Terry says it's not that people really are atheists or that they don't believe. They just haven't at all tried to make conscious contact with God. Go ahead, Ron.
I'm Ron. I'm an alcoholic. No, I really enjoyed the reason or conscience story myself. Uh, I knew the things that I was doing was wrong, and I knew that I was drinking myself to death. But then when I reached out to God, He was there, and I ended up here, and I'm thankful for that.
Does he speak to you?
Who does?
Yeah. Yeah, me
Very
too.
much so.
All right. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca Alcoholic. So I'm going to piggyback also on page 85 that I can't depend on logic, trying to find a higher power. Let me think, where can I find this higher power? Um it says that it lies outside the realm of reason. Um and even if you feel it, like you couldn't feel it in this, they're there. And I mean, all of us people, not just alcoholics, we need each other. Um, so
Perfect. Uh, where'd he go? Oh, he left.
You're
He just
breaking up a little bit, Jan.
Am I breaking up now?
You didn't then, no.
Okay, good. Jerry, how about you?
Hi. Well, I'm totally new to this. It was just a lot to take in, but it was
Sure.
very interesting, especially what Rebecca just sort of went over. I mean, I don't really, I don't really have a problem with the concept of God or the unknowable, but I guess just starting with the Serenity Prayer, I've heard that before, but it's just interesting the community that's here. I've always heard about Alcoholics Anonymous, but like I say, it's a lot to take in. Um, but
Well,
it certainly
our
wasn't.
recommendation to you is come here every day for 5 days, see how you like it, and then we'll put you to work. Okay, Carly, how about you? What did you get out of this reading?
Hi, Carly, alcoholic. I'm also completely new to this. I wrote down some things. I thought a common theme was how pride gets in the way, and that was totally the case with me and in these stories as well. Whether you're an atheist or not, I think just that overall theme of just pride getting in the way, but how important it is to have a higher power, whether that's, going to meetings or just having some sort of help. And that's been the case for me too. So that made sense to me in these readings.
Yep. All right, good. I like it. Deirdre, how about you? What did you get out of the reading?
Hi, Deidre, alcoholic. Um, this part stuck out to me. It matters not whether reason or conscience showed me the way. I came to believe in a power greater than myself, and that has been my salvation. I got out of that. Like, I just don't have to figure it out. I don't have to debate with myself. I don't have to debate with anyone else. And, what's important is that I just come to believe in a power greater than myself. Like I heard it here, I'm not in charge. It's not me. Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing when we turn every day over to God and let God and the power and the energy direct us. And it's always in what we call good, orderly direction. Okay, Kale, you're the last person.
Yeah, I think I liked the story about the person who was shy and although she was skeptical about the process she felt she needed to engage in sort of happened to her, and then she just saw changes as a result of that. I thought that was kind of interesting, just more speaking about the process, I guess, rather than um, coming to a higher power. Like Jerry, I have no problem with that at all, or difficulty with that, I guess, is a better way to put it. But I just thought that was interesting.
All right, good. So that's it for today. This is we meet every day, same time, same bat channel, same bat time. If you come here, we will take you through all 12 steps, the entire AA program. We hand deliver it to you. We'll sponsor you, be like your step sponsor. This is a class. It is AA 101, only meeting like it in the world. Excuse me. And what else? We've had over 30,000 people come here to this meeting. We have about 100 new people a week, 200 people regularly come. We've had over 30,000 people come in 7 years. So we've had 1,000 people complete the work. So it's the only meeting like it in the world. It is AA 101, or it's called Newcomers Slipper Step Workshop. So yeah, just show up every day for 5 days, see how you like it. And Jeff, you want to read the promises?
F Alcoholics, South Florida, page 83, the bottom of the page. The promises of Alcoholics Anonymous. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will find that our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Thank you for letting me read that.
Perfect. Here comes the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So this meeting is officially over. We meet every day, same time. Come for 5 days if you're new. See how you like it. So this is a personal invitation to Carly, Jerry, and Jeff. Just show up. So this was pretty exciting, huh?
Yes. Oh, this works. Just being taken through and going through the step process like this. It's fantastic.
And reading these books. See,
Oh.
we just read all the books. You hang out with us for about a year. We'll have read all 6 books.
Yep.
In detail.
And it's the interplay, the one-on-one the immediate feedback too. That's important. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, we
great
dig
to know
into
it.
this.
Yeah.
We dig into this material.
Oh, yes.
It's like a class. Hey, Jeff, it's like a class.
Yes, it is.
It's like a workshop.
And it opens the mind more and more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. Make it real. It was something we hit upon on the other step thing meeting. They talked about going back. I found it in my book. The purpose of the fellowship of the meetings are go there. They say that basically it should be to find the new person that we can work with, and hopefully the steps with. But when I heard of that lady say about a week ago, gee, I don't know, and I've heard this before here, but she went into detail. She said, I went to the meeting. No one said hello. I didn't know what to do. I want to get sober. I
Hang
sit
on for one
down.
sec. Hang on
Yeah.
for 1 second. Let me ask Carly. Hey, Carly, so how did you like today's meeting?
I
How you
liked
doing?
it.
Yeah?
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah, I felt like I learned a lot, especially with their readings and everything. It's completely different than the other meeting that I went to, but I feel like that's what my sponsor wanted for me was, to do all this stuff. So I really enjoyed it.
This is what is it called? This is a high-speed train. This meeting right here. We go from 0 to 90. So you'll notice you'll go to other meetings and they'll sort of be creeping along. They'll mention certain things but never get down to it. With us,
Yeah.
every day is a new class. And this is your first time in AA?
A week ago, I only went
Yeah.
to 2 other meetings, but yeah.
Oh, good for you. And so
Thank
you
you.
live in Boulder, you work here, all that?
Yeah, I just moved here from Denver like a month ago.
What made you decide to come to AA?
Um, I feel like it was just time. There wasn't really one instance. It just been kind of like bad experiences over a couple years. And I have family members too that have done this, and it's kind of in our genes. So it almost was just like there was a moment I woke up and I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore, and figured I would just give it a try because I've heard good things.
Thinking it really kind of takes you out, doesn't it? It doesn't
Yeah.
it kind of at least for me, it ruined everything. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, how old are you now?
I'm 28.
28. Yeah, that was exactly the age I was when I came to AA to
Oh,
my
really?
first. Yep, I'm 80 now. I was 28. It was 1975. And Ron, check this out. February 12th, 1975. And I've been coming back ever since. Jeff, I never stopped coming. It took me some time to quit drinking, but I never stopped coming, Carly, because I was here in Boulder, and I uh I thought this is like horrible,
Yeah. Yeah.
ruining everything. Let's see, Jerry. Let's ask Jerry. Hey, Jerry. So, how did you like today's meeting?
I think I just sort of lucked into your structured meeting. I respond to that, you know. I've quit drinking before for up to 2 years on my own, and it's like, hey, I'll finally try this Alcoholics Anonymous thing, and I just responded to the title of the course, right?
Yeah.
And I like if somebody's going to take me through a workshop, I respond to that. So I thought it was quite
There,
interesting.
there you go. I think we're all like that. A lot of us have gone to other meetings and it's like, well, nobody's showing us what to do. I mean, I was like that. Nobody's like, how the hell? Look at Jeff with 40 years. He showed up and he said, "Oh my God, I never saw a meeting like this before."